There was a mix-up at the hospital and they couldn't discharge us. So he became really angry and actually threatened the doctors and nurses who'd worked around the clock on our little girl. When we left the flat to move into a bigger house, it was one we jointly rented. I'd hoped that, more space would be more stability and things would get better. I was heavily pregnant at the time and I just wanted somewhere comfortable to bring home our little girl. The drinking continued and the drug use, and combined, them two, it just made him unbearable to live with. But he promised me that when the baby was born, he would stop. Georgia was born in October 2019 by C-section. She became seriously unwell and struggled to breathe, so was rushed into neonatal intensive care. During this time, he'd publicly scream at me and put me down. There was a mix-up at the hospital and they couldn't discharge us. So he became really angry and actually threatened the doctors and nurses who'd worked around the clock on our little girl. He was threatened with the security and they said if he carried on with his behaviour, then he'd be barred from the hospital. I was embarrassed and heartbroken. I was a shell of a person at this point. He made no real effort to care for our baby. So the pressure mounted and I ended the relationship. He instructed me and my two girls to leave the family home and I went to my mother's. It was impossible. I didn't really have anything that I needed to care for a newborn baby. So I went back to the house for a few belongings and when he let me into the house I told him I was disgusted by him. The least he could do was do right by his child. It was then that he got aggressive. He got incoherently angry. He started charging towards me and then he'd back away. And I didn't know if or when he was going to hit me. I told him, calm down, or if he didn't, I'd call the police. When he didn't, I took the phone out my handbag and then he grabbed me by the arm and forcibly took my phone. Then he ran out the house. I panicked. I looked for him and he had vanished. I panicked. I went to the neighbours next door and I was knocking, no one was in, so I stood back in the house and was thinking what to do next. I knew he'd be back. He returned without the phone, so I started screaming. I knew I was in trouble and I had no way of protecting myself with no phone, so I just wanted someone to hear me. He said I could have the phone back if I left the property. When he was taking me out, he told me that he'd put my phone in some neighbour's gutter. A few days later, he apologised. With the pressure of the kids and being homeless, I went back to him. But only on the condition he went to couples counselling. Despite the counsellor's best efforts, he failed to acknowledge any abuse towards me.